Hi guys, welcome back. We're finally back to Saga, and this is going to be part 2 of how to play Saga. This is the setting up part of it. So we're playing on a 3 foot by 4 foot board, and we're just going to run through how to set up both forces before the game starts. Overall it's going to be 3 part. The third part will be playing the game itself. So just a quick overview of the forces involved here. We have the Anglo-Danes, we have a warlord with a Dane axe, and in front of him we've got 2 Hearthguard, also armed with Dane axes, then 2 warriors in front of them. And then we have 1 unit of levy on the left hand side which has slings, and 1 unit of warriors on the right hand side there. Then on the Crusader side, this is what I'm going to go for. We've got an advisor Crusader warlord, so he's one of the priests. We have 2 Hearthguard mounted in front of him. Then we have a warrior with crossbow and another mounted Hearthguard, and then 2 warriors at the front there. So after players have picked their tables, they can start working their way to setting up. We're going to be playing the Champions of God scenario, which is the basic scenario from the Crescent and Cross book. To start with, players will now have to secretly bid how many bits of terrain they want. They can pick between 1 and 3. As you can see here, the Anglo-Dane went for 3 and the Crusader went for 1. The Anglo-Dane wants plenty of uneven terrain to affect the cavalrymen of the Crusaders. Cavalry are reduced to a short move when going through terrain. Also, they'll gain a fatigue if they have to go through any part of uneven terrain as well. So it really hampers them there. So starting with the player that bid the highest, you take in turns selecting a piece of terrain each. As you can see the left hand side there's a lot of uneven ground. You've got 2 woodlands and a crop field from the Anglo-Danes. There's a table in the book, by the way, of how many items of each you can have on the table at once. And also there's minimum maximum sizes and that, so that's nice and easy. And the hill there is a gentle hill or an elevation for the Crusaders, so it's just a bit of open ground really, which will have blocking capabilities for shooting if you're standing the other side of it. The terrain itself is set up alternately, starting with the player that selects his scenery piece first, so in this case the Anglo-Dane player. There's only 3 basic rules to which the scenery can be placed, and that is the item can be placed anywhere on the table but not within an M of a previously deployed item. And if you have more than 1 item to deploy, at least 1 of those items must be deployed in contact with any table edge. And finally, no more than 1 single scenery piece can be set up closer to the opponent's table edge than it is from yours. So applying all of those 3, this is the terrain we end up for the game. And next up we have to roll to see if either player can affect the other person's terrain. So after the terrain is set up, each player has a chance to move or remove a piece of terrain, rolling on a table, starting with the player that set up the scenery items first. So in this case the Anglo-Danes, they're going to roll for the hill because it's the only one the Crusaders set up, and they roll a 2. So looking into the table, that does absolutely nothing, so they can't affect it at all. While the Crusaders decide to go for the forest that's in the middle of the board, because that gives a good anchoring point for all the Anglo-Danes to hide behind there. He rolls a 4, but because he had fewer items he chose from, he gets to add +1 to that, so that now goes a 5, and that allows him to either move the item up to M or remove it from the table, in which case, as you can see here, the player has removed it from the table, giving a nice open centre for the cavalry to charge through, and not so easy for the Anglo-Danes to hide. So with the board set up and ready, we start deploying our forces, and we start in this scenario with the person that picked scenery items first. Again, this will be the Anglo-Danes. They have to deploy their warlord within L of their table edge, and this then alternates, and the other player will then put their warlord within L of their table edge. As you can see here, they'll put the priest on the hill. And then we start going through our units, alternating. But there is a rule to what we have to follow. So all ranged weapons in a warband have to be deployed before non-ranged weapons, and foot have to be deployed between cavalry. So that becomes all ranged foot, all ranged cavalry, and then any other foot, and then any other cavalry. And you just alternate then on placing within L of a table edge your forces. So as you can see here, both the crossbowmen and the levy with slings have been put down as their first ones because they're ranged foot units. Next up we've got a large unit of warriors to protect the warlord there on the Anglo-Dane side, and the Crusaders follow up doing a similar thing with 8 warriors protecting their priest. They also put the levy into the terrain there because that'll be a nice effect to easily sniped for cavalry, and also very effective against cavalry because cavalry's armour is reduced by 1 against any ranged weapons. So you can just see more warriors going down there. The Anglo-Danes have a little 4-man unit protecting them there, just to generate Saga and that, while he puts another big unit up in the front there. And then finally the cavalry starting to go down for the Crusaders. As you can see, it's looking pretty even. And a large unit of Hearthguard then go down, and there's a good block of Anglo-Danes at the top side there. And finally the last unit of cavalry go down. And as you can see, this is how the game is going to look for the starting setup. Both players have to try to use the terrain to their best advantage. The Anglo-Dane player has trying to anchor his left-hand flank with the woodland there, while having a nice strong body, while the Crusaders are quite spread out. So the final part is to find out now who's going to go first. To do this, you need to add up your Saga dice and add it to the roll of a d6. So we just have a look here on the left-hand side. The Anglo-Danes have got all their Saga dice at the top of the board there. They have 6, 2 for the Warlord, 1 each for the Warrior unit, and 1 for the Hearthguard. The Levy down the bottom don't generate Saga. And then for the Crusaders, they have a good old 7, because they have all their units that generate Saga dice, and a Warlord as well. So we have 7 to 6, and then with the dice roll as well, the purple being Crusaders, the red being the Anglo-Danes, we can see the Crusaders will be having first turn. So hopefully this will continue. Shortly I'll get the third and final part up of actually playing the game, and I hope you're enjoying it. So take care all, I'll see you next time. Thou Willis. Just to let you know, some good news, I've managed to get some prizes for my next giveaway. It's 793 subscribers, I believe it was. If you want to find out what's happening with that, just look up Mike Help's Call Winner for the last one. I mentioned in there what's needed to be done for this one. So far, I've got the Saga rulebook, so it contains all the rules for Saga. I have 4 initial battle boards as well, and also I've got some Christian dice there and some Viking dice as well.